am the true daughter of the Williams family and a well-known trader on Wall Street. My biological parents found me, and I immediately noticed that some of the Williams family's businesses might face problems soon. Unless these businesses are handed over to me and they stay away from those marriage prospects, we won't be able to turn around the current situation. The fake heiress feels like I'm stealing her rights, and she and my marriage prospect, Oliver, decided to teach me a lesson. Before long, they killed the dog that raised me since I was little. To put it bluntly, the dog took something from them. Shouldn't that be dealt with? I held the already cold little guy, and my gaze gradually turned indifferent. Since that's the case, there's no need for the Williams family to exist anymore. Dodo showed no reaction in my arms. It was just a small dog. Living for over a decade is already quite long. It could have lived its life peacefully. I held it tightly, my gaze growing cold. Seeing my expression, Emily and Oliver mocked me even more. Emily squatted slightly and looked me in the eye. Sophia, you still haven't answered my question. I lowered my head to look at Dodo and silently nodded. Seeing their smug expressions, I couldn't help but think. It pains me that my dog stole something from you. You killed my dog. That's just too much. Emily, unaware of my thoughts, leaned closer to remind me. Sophia, let me tell you, if you were a bit smarter, you wouldn't have gone back to the Williams house. If you continue to fight for power with me, I don't know what else might happen next, besides this little dog. I stared at her fierce gaze, and Oliver beside me began to chime in. Exactly! I really don't know what my uncle and aunt are thinking. Emily and I have been good friends since childhood. We never wanted to get married. And why do you have to marry just because you are the long-lost eldest daughter? I clenched my fists, trying hard not to get angry, took a deep breath, nodded, thinking to myself, really, why should it be so? Actually, I didn't intend to do this at first. It was just that after so many years without seeing my parents, they found me, so I wanted to do something for the Williams family. I went missing when I was 5, sold abroad by a human trafficker, and later adopted by my current parents. The main reason I could come back this time is that I feel some sympathy and concern for my childhood foster sister, Emily. I didn't expect that the well-behaved and sensible little sister has turned into what she is now. Seeing me bow my head voluntarily, both of them were quite satisfied. Emily glanced at my dog with disapproval, then stood up and took a step back. All right, why don't you take care of your dog? This is really annoying. I can hardly hold back. If I stay for another second, I might do something remarkable. So, I immediately took the puppy out of the Williams family villa. I dug a hole, wrapped the puppy in a cloth, and even placed its favorite snacks on top. At that moment, I finally couldn't hold back my tears. My voice choked. Dodo, don't worry. I will make them pay for this. When I composed myself and returned home, my parents were already back. My father's expression was a bit grim when he saw me. He said, Sophia, don't keep those useless animals anymore. It almost hurt your sister today. It truly deserves it. I looked at Emily's aggrieved expression and knew she had turned the truth upside down. She successfully made the family believe that my dog bit her first. Seeing my bad expression, Emily nervously pressed her lips together and whispered, I'm sorry, sister. I was just too scared and accidentally hurt it. Can you forgive me? I didn't respond, and my father spoke again. What kind of attitude is this? Your sister is apologizing to you out of kindness. Actually, this incident was your mistake. I think we can set aside what you mentioned about the business for now. My mother glanced at me and immediately spoke to ease the atmosphere. Don't be angry, Sophia. I just found out about the puppy situation too. How about we find a time to go to the pet store together and pick another puppy with a good temperament? As for the family business, you've just returned, and there are many things you don't quite understand, so we can't let you make decisions casually. They really neglect the outside world. They have it too comfortable at home and have completely forgotten how the market has changed. At that moment, Oliver's phone rang, and when he saw it, he immediately became very happy and hurriedly showed it to my parents. Uncle, Aunt, you have to take a look. The projects I had you invest in last week are really doing quite well now. Really? My parents are extremely happy, and Oliver even showed me the financing report on his phone, mocking me proudly. Sophia, didn't you say these investments would have problems in the future? I think the prospects look pretty good. I casually glanced at his income and chose not to say anything more. These are just illusions, designed to lure in those who have studied finance for a few years but don't really understand it. A few people immediately looked a bit displeased upon hearing this. My words seemed to embarrass them in public. They had done some background checks on me before, although the information was limited, mainly that I graduated from the finance department of a university abroad. They knew I wasn't just making it up. After hearing what I said, Oliver's expression changed a lot, and he was the first to speak up against me. What do you know? Isn't this just studying abroad? Why are you so agitated, Sophia? Do you know the market situation in the country? You start off by talking about things that will incur losses. I think you might have ulterior motives. Emily put on a pitiful look beside me and gently said, Sister, you don't really understand the family's business, so it's better to say less. When investing in a business, we always hope for smoother progress. I ignored their words and turned my gaze towards my parents. Mom and Dad, I hope you can trust me. What I'm saying is not alarmist. But their expressions weren't good either. My dad rubbed his forehead and looked at me coldly. Do you want me to worry? How many years have you studied finance and economics? I have battled in the business world for many years. How could I not understand? My mother sighed softly and reached out to hold my hand. Sophia, even if what you say makes sense, it's still just your opinion. Why not learn for a while at the family company and see? I gently pulled my hand back from my mom's grip and went back to my room to draw a cash flow and stock market analysis chart for the Oliver project on my tablet. At a glance, I illustrated the future trend. Look, it quickly raised funds at the beginning, and now you are in the phase of it dispersing loans. This is a classic Ponzi scheme, attracting large investments with small profits. Once you add more funds, it will just keep siphoning money without releasing any. My parents seemed to be persuaded by what I said, but Oliver looked down on it. You think you understand just because you've learned a little surface knowledge? After wandering for so many years, do you really understand? At first, my parents wanted to hear more from me, but when they heard Oliver say that, their expressions changed immediately, clearly not believing it. I sighed, wanting to tell them my true identity. Some lesser-known universities? I wanted to say that they have their own rankings in the world. How could I possibly understand those? If I didn't understand, I wouldn't have a position on Wall Street. But I hadn't finished speaking when my father interrupted me. He told me that my thoughts were too naive and that I needed to learn further, suggesting I should follow Oliver and Emily to learn more. As soon as Emily heard this, she burst into laughter, although she appeared modest on the surface. She assured my dad, "Don't worry, I can definitely teach my sister." She flattered my parents, but her eyes were full of pride. Oliver seized the opportunity to say, "Uncle, Aunt, actually I've been wanting to discuss something with you, which is also my family's opinion." Upon hearing this, my father immediately responded, "Just say it directly. I've been old friends with your parents." Oliver nodded and hinted at me with his eyes. Recently, I've been in touch with Sophia more, and my family and I feel that Emily, who grew up with us, is more suitable. After all, we are all very familiar with each other. As for Sophia, he elongated his tone and looked at me, his eyes filled with disdain. Everyone understood what he meant. A marriage like this, after wandering outside for over a decade, actually has no real significance. Although Emily is not biologically related, she is treated like a true daughter in the Williams family. Emily, who was beside us, immediately looked at her parents with an expectant gaze upon hearing this. My parents might have advised me a bit in the past, but this time they didn't say much. This was completely different from their previous attitude of treating me solely as a marriage prospect. They just laughed a few times and said this matter could be discussed later. I knew this was just a shift in focus. I sighed and didn't say much more. Some people in this family are really ignorant. At that moment, Dad's phone rang, inviting them to a business cocktail party. Upon hearing this, Emily shot me a scornful glance. Mom and Dad, why not bring my sister along? It would be a good opportunity for her to learn more. Father immediately agreed. He said that at the party later, I shouldn't casually mention anything about Ponzi schemes, as these are respectable people, and I shouldn't embarrass him, understand? On the way, Father kept reminding me not to speak carelessly. I turned my head to look out the window and gently responded. When we arrived, Dad was the first to put on a polite smile and greet the various bosses. I wasn't really interested in this kind of occasion. I should have been able to handle various social situations with ease. Even if I wasn't doing well, I should be working in the consulting room of some big shot on Wall Street. This kind of small gathering didn't mean anything to me. At that moment, Oliver came over with a seemingly honest middle-aged man, introducing him to my father, saying, "Uncle, this is the partner of the project I mentioned last time." The middle-aged man warmly shook hands with my father and immediately began introducing the project. He spoke very formally and sounded quite professional, but as I listened from the side, I felt a bit scared inside. As soon as I heard what he said, I realized there were at least 3 tricks involved. How did my father listen to him with such admiration while he talked about his tricks? Even his expression was about to be infected. I still didn't want to see the home that had finally returned fall apart, so I politely stepped forward and interjected during a pause in my partner's speech. "Hello, Uncle, I am the eldest daughter of the Williams family." The partner was taken aback, and seeing my father and Oliver's serious expressions, he instinctively nodded, signaling politeness. "So the Williams family has such a big daughter? Girls change a lot as they grow up. She's really beautiful." I interrupted his polite remarks and asked directly, "Regarding the project you mentioned earlier, I heard about it. To be honest, I have some understanding of finance. May I ask where the network IP address for this project is? You were just talking about profits. Why didn't I hear you mention this?" The partner was stunned, not expecting me to hit on the issue of this project so quickly. But a con artist is indeed a con artist. He only paused for 2 seconds before regaining his composure and even smiled. "Miss Sophia is inquiring about the server's IP address, right? Of course, we need to establish a base separately in Europe. However, I think directly asking this question might be a bit impolite. After our discussion, some people around have subtly started looking at me." I seemed to have not noticed and let out a light laugh. "Indeed, if this thing were abroad, it would be so easy for you to launder money and escape with a new identity. Who do you think you can fool with such a terrible trick?" The middle-aged man widened his eyes, looking at my father, and adopted a clever counterattack. "Mr. Williams, if you have doubts about this project, then don't invest. Why make this kid ask me? Let me be direct. I don't want to respond to such unfounded accusations." "Oh, Mr. Wang, don't be angry. It's my daughter who doesn't understand and speaks out of turn." Seeing him angry, my dad, eager to make money, shouted at me loudly, "Go wait over there. All you do is bring shame." As this reprimand came out, all the bosses in the venue were watching the spectacle, and competitors were secretly gloating. "Oh, Mr. Williams, your daughter is really impressive. She truly inherited your strengths." Father's face turned pale with anger. He simply told the con artist that we would discuss the cooperation later and hurriedly took us away. As soon as we entered the house, Father slapped me and angrily said, "Get down on your knees." That slap was really hard. I was hit and turned my head. My cheek instantly felt a sharp pain, and I had no idea what was happening, so I hurriedly covered my face. "What's going on?" Father spoke angrily. "How could you do this? How can we have a child like you in this family? What were you doing at the party just now? Are you doubting your father's business partner? Your way of speaking not only affected my business, but don't you feel embarrassed?" Mother also handed Father a long bamboo stick as a ruler, sounding very worried. "Sophia, you were indeed in the wrong today. Even if you have doubts, you should have come back and discussed it properly with us. What you did just now put your father in a very difficult position." I looked directly into Father's eyes and still insisted on my viewpoint. "Do you want me to back down? Dad, is your pride really that important to you? His scheming is like he's taking money directly out of his pocket." With that expression on your face, by the end of the night, a large part of the Williams family's assets will probably be transferred to him. How can you still have the face to say that? Hearing me talk back, my father got furious, and that long and wide ruler came down on my knee. My legs buckled, and I fell to the ground, gasping in pain. Now, the physical pain is nothing compared to the feelings inside. "Look at this, Sophia, this is the family you chose. So ignorant and foolish." At this moment, Emily and Oliver also drove back home. Seeing my condition, Emily immediately knelt down and pleaded with me. "Dad, don't hit her. I believe my sister didn't mean it today. Give her another chance. She just got back home not long ago." She seems to be pleading for me, but she's actually subtly reminding Mom and Dad. I just came back from outside, feeling like an ungrateful person. How credible are my words? As expected, in the next moment, my father became even angrier and ordered my mother to pull Emily away. Emily, step aside quickly. If we don't talk to her properly today, she might say even worse things. I slightly lowered my head, allowing the ruler to fall on me. It turns out that what made Dad the angriest today was my rebellion. Despite being warned, I still wanted to challenge his authority. So I need to be taught a lesson. I straightened my back, my voice somewhat cold. But I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I be punished? The more I stood my ground, the more displeased my father became. Do you think you're not in the wrong? How interesting. You actually think you're not in the wrong. He swung his arm forcefully, and when the ruler struck me for the first time, I couldn't help but cry out in pain, rolling on the ground. However, my gaze remained resolute. Even if you hit me again, I still didn't do anything wrong. I shouldn't have come back to help you deal with this trouble in the first place. What else do you have to say? Is it wrong for us to ask you to come back? Today, I want you to remember this lesson. My father hit me a few more times, and I was in so much pain that I was about to cry, but I refused to back down. He was so angry that he couldn't catch his breath, frightened by my stubbornness, and immediately handed the ruler to Emily beside him. You go hit her. Let me see if she will truly realize her mistake. Emily looked a bit scared, and her eyes were red. My father pointed at me with trembling fingers and shouted, Go hit him. Hit her hard, until she admits her mistake. Emily said she didn't want to do this, but in reality, she was quite harsh. My mother felt it was unbearable to watch, while Oliver looked quite pleased. All right, stop hitting. Hearing my mother scream, I immediately felt darkness before I passed out. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in the hospital. The wounds and injuries on my body had been treated. I didn't say anything, slowly sitting up, but moving made the wounds hurt. As soon as I sat up, Emily brought Oliver over to see me, and her face was full of smiles. Sister, you've been through some difficulties, haven't you? I advise you to consider giving up. It's better to leave quickly and go back home. The Williams family is not suitable for you. Oliver also said some unpleasant things. If you continue to stay here, I don't know what will happen in the future. I didn't respond. My gaze was vacant. It wasn't until they left out of boredom that I came to my senses, no longer holding any expectations for the home I had for over a decade. Since that's the case, the Williams family no longer needs to exist. I thought about it and took out my phone to make a call. Hello, Sophia? Assistant Laura answered my call, a bit confused. I quietly gazed out at the night and softly said, Laura, get organized and come back to work with me. When Laura heard this news, she was very surprised because I had previously said I wouldn't participate anymore when I went home. I briefly gave a few reasons to explain, and Laura was very happy to hear I was coming back. That's great! Many bosses had come to inquire about you, wanting to continue hiring you for consulting, but when they heard you had retired, they all felt it was a pity. I had been providing services to various bosses, analyzing their investments. Almost no one understands the dynamics of the entire market better than I do. At such a young age, having this market insight, everyone thinks my future is bright. Investment experts on Wall Street are not to be taken lightly. Now that I'm back, Laura is full of energy and immediately reported to me. She took just over an hour to organize the studio's work for the next 2 weeks. Sophia, are you currently abroad? I had a Chinese boss here who wanted to invest over there. He wants to invite you to the ribbon-cutting ceremony. We can take this opportunity to make a comeback. Starting here, spreading this news will also benefit your family. Laura is unaware of the changes in my family. She thinks my participation in this event will enhance our family's reputation. After considering it, I ultimately agreed. All right, I'll leave this matter to you to arrange. However, I might not stay in the country for long, and I need to keep in touch regarding work abroad. Laura said she would arrange it right away and then hung up the phone. After confirming that I only had some superficial injuries, I got my medication and was discharged the next day. My father was the first to know I was discharged. He probably communicated with the doctor in advance. After being discharged, I hurried home. Hearing the voice on the other end of the phone, I felt very disappointed. I'm not going back. After all, that's not my home. My father was very angry and shouted, What do you mean by this? Just because I punished you a bit, are you planning to disown me as your father? I couldn't help but laugh. There was a hidden meaning in his words. What else is there? Haven't you always been indifferent to me as your daughter? My father was too angry to speak, and at that moment, my mother took the phone, her tone very gentle. She said to me, Sophia, your dad has that kind of temper. You go home first. I promise he won't hit you again. Unexpectedly, before she finished speaking, my father angrily interrupted her. Bring her back. Let's see if I can teach this ungrateful daughter a lesson. And you, why did you say those things to her? It's all because of your indulgence. I frowned, not wanting to engage further, and hung up the phone directly. Not long after, Emily called as well. I knew she just wanted to pretend to be weak to persuade me, not wanting to have a serious conversation at all. Before long, Laura's side reached an agreement, and the invitation from the Chinese CEO was quickly delivered to me. According to the agreed time, I arrived at the hotel's banquet hall. As soon as I walked in, Oliver spotted me. He looked me up and down and couldn't help but laugh. Sophia, what are you doing in a place like this? I didn't want to acknowledge him and pretended not to see. Unexpectedly, Oliver greeted someone behind me the next second. Uncle, Aunt, come over here. I turned slightly and saw that he had called over my father's family, which made me a bit nervous. I really didn't expect them to show up again. My father was already upset with me for hanging up, so he wouldn't have a good expression when he saw me. He walked over and snorted coldly. So, you think that if you came all the way here to apologize, I would forgive you? He actually thinks I would compromise with him. I couldn't help but smile inwardly and immediately expressed my disagreement. I don't expect you to forgive me because I didn't do anything wrong. You're too full of yourself. I came here to take care of something. I just happened to pass by. Father was taken aback for a moment. It was obvious he was very angry, but since we were still outside, he had to hold it in. Upon hearing my last sentence, Oliver began to have doubts. Business? What business do you have? Is it because you weren't satisfied with the party the day before yesterday and want to use this bigger opportunity to approach someone? Father's expression immediately turned serious upon hearing this, and he angrily said, Sophia, don't embarrass the Williams family any further. I am a daughter of the Williams family. I don't need to do such things. Oliver also happily expressed. The leaders present are all from the same family. Sophia, you can't ruin other people's feelings. Emily on the side was also making sarcastic remarks. Older sister, I don't think you're that kind of person. After all, you just came back from abroad. Mom wanted to say something to me, but Dad stopped her with a look, and she could only sigh. My fists were clenched, feeling a bit angry, but Dad didn't pay much attention and asked me what was wrong. So why are you here? I thought for a moment and replied coldly. Of course, I came here by invitation. What do you think? My father looked at me with some suspicion and immediately called the security guard, wanting to teach me a lesson for what I just said. He said she sneaked in, so please escort her out immediately. So, I walked out under the guidance of the security guard, and when I turned around, I saw him and several elders from the Oliver family starting to discuss the earlier matter, which made me unable to hold back my laughter. Indeed, he still couldn't let go of that scam. This time, I'll let you handle it yourself. Sorry, miss. Please leave. The security guard looked quite apologetic. After I maintained a certain distance from them, I took out my unique invitation letter from my bag. Can it allow me to stay here? The security guard looked surprised, immediately apologized, and then let me in. This time, I only glanced at them from afar and went straight to the VIP room. I really can't understand why some people insist on doing this. In the VIP room, a CEO was already waiting for me. He was the Chinese CEO that Laura helped me contact, and he is the person in charge and organizer here. He came over enthusiastically and shook my hand. Sophia, I've finally been waiting for you. I wonder if you could come over to cut the ribbon? If something comes up, can we discuss the details after the ribbon cutting? I reached out to shake his hand, wearing a crisp and bright smile. Of course, that means I'll need John to help out. Following the organizer's arrangements, I was dressed up and attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony with everyone. When I stood among a group of well-known local entrepreneurs, I noticed my father was very shocked and confused in the audience. He tried to call out to me several times but held back, feeling as if the person on stage wasn't his daughter. In the end, my father didn't speak up. After all, his years of experience made him feel that things weren't that simple. But Emily didn't have such complicated thoughts. Upon seeing me on stage, she immediately widened her eyes and pointed at me saying, Sophia, what are you doing up there? Come down quickly. Stop talking. Listen. Be quiet. Before I could say anything, my dad was taken aback and tried to stop Emily. Just as he grabbed her, Oliver couldn't help but shout out, "Sophia, can you be here at such an occasion? Come down quickly. Don't you feel embarrassed yourself? We find it very awkward. What is your purpose in there?" As soon as this was said, everyone's gaze, including those CEOs on stage, turned to look down. "Dad, why are you pulling me? It's my sister who made the mistake. Can her identity be compared with those entrepreneurs for the ribbon cutting?" Emily didn't quite understand her father's actions, just following Oliver to criticize from below the stage. Oliver immediately called for security. He noticed that the person on stage didn't seem to be an invited guest, so he quickly had the security escort this intruder out of the venue. John's expression seemed even darker. Generally, a good day is chosen for the ribbon cutting, and now that something like this has happened, he is naturally not very pleased. However, he understands the relationship between the Williams family, the Oliver family, and me, which is why they invited these two families. This is precisely to give me a good impression. If it weren't for other support, with the business scale of those two families, they wouldn't even be able to appear at such an occasion. "Sophia, is this okay?" John turned to look at me, his tone a bit hesitant. In the next moment, he saw my cold expression and couldn't help but feel a bit confused. However, as a businessman, he quickly leaned closer and whispered, "Sophia, what does this mean? Does the Williams family not know who you are?" I replied, "Yes, I am John. In any case, I no longer have any connection with the Williams family. Since they disrupted your ribbon-cutting ceremony, handle it however you see fit. You don't need to worry about me." After I expressed my opinion, John nodded and, turning around, said to my father with a grim expression, "Do you have any comments? Sophia is an important guest of our group. We specially invited her to attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Can someone like her, a Wall Street genius, really be belittled by you?" John suddenly spoke up, and everyone was surprised to look at me. I'm already used to such gazes. I lowered my head and happened to meet my father's gaze. My father was also taken aback, looking at me in disbelief, and after a moment, he smiled and said something. "A genius from Wall Street? Is it really her?" John was clearly uninterested. He simply clapped his hands, and the nearby security guard immediately stepped forward. The most shocking ones are Emily and Oliver. Their casual belittling of me just now still echoes in everyone's ears, truly a sign of being completely oblivious to the situation. How could this happen? She never said anything. Emily still wants to ask pointlessly, while Oliver is just stunned. Faced with the approaching security, my father still couldn't believe it and felt very puzzled. "Sophia, is this your true identity? Why have you never mentioned this to the family?" I didn't respond. Facing such a father, I truly didn't know what to say. "Please don't touch me. The distinguished guest on stage is my daughter. Can't you see? Sophia, let's have a good talk. Sophia!" As my father was being dragged away, he shouted one last time. He tried several times to turn back and talk to me, but I ignored him. Emily and Oliver's family were also asked to leave. Only my mother looked up at me once, with a hint of happiness and pride on her face, before turning and leaving with my father. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, I found an excuse to leave. It was time to go back abroad. I've delayed for too long during this time. If I don't go back, I won't be able to finish the work Laura arranged for me. As soon as I stepped out of the hotel, I saw my dad and others waiting for me. Seeing me come out, my dad immediately walked over happily and said, "Sophia, you finally came out. In the past, it was my fault. I apologize to you. It was my impulsiveness." Seeing his eager face, I felt very annoyed and frowned, preparing to drag my suitcase past him. He saw me trying to leave and was about to reach out to grab me when suddenly a phone call interrupted his low voice. "There are issues with the investment, and the stock price has plummeted." "What? How much money has been lost? What exactly happened? How could it disappear out of nowhere?" My father became a bit anxious, loudly asking the other party for details, and his body began to tremble. However, the other side only cautiously mentioned a guess, which was similar to what I had said before. This Mr. Williams, they might be manipulating the stocks using foreign IPs. Now the money has already been transferred away. Upon hearing this, my father immediately looked up at me. Now it's not just my father, Emily and Oliver are also stunned, unable to believe how things have turned out. Before long, Oliver's phone started buzzing non-stop, and all the messages were bad news. How could this happen? I really can't believe it. I invested so much money. Where is it? Oliver clearly wasn't as calm as my father and panicked right on the spot. I shrugged slightly, thinking they were really foolish. I mentioned this to you all before. You really brought this trouble upon yourselves. My father's face changed color. After hearing a figure about the losses from the other end, he immediately hung up the phone. I didn't want to care about how much the Williams family had lost. I just wanted to leave quickly. But after the shock, my father suddenly realized something and hurried over to stop me, looking very sad as he said, "Sophia, is it wrong for Dad to make a mistake, okay? I made a huge mistake too. Now you're the only one who can help the Williams family. The Williams family is about to collapse. You're from Wall Street, you must know some insider information." Seeing him in tears and knowing the flight still had some time, I decided to just say it directly. "Yes, I do have that ability. But why should I help you? Williams, are you only just remembering that I'm your daughter? But I do not acknowledge you as my father. From now on, we will no longer have any relationship. The scars left from before still remind me that he is not worthy of being my father." My father lowered his head, his face filled with regret. "I admit my mistake. It truly is my fault. I was a bit confused, but this has been my life's work. Sophia, can you help us?" My mother saw the situation and wanted to speak up for me, but I still refused. "Sorry, I reminded you when I first entered the Williams house. It was you who didn't believe me. There's no chance now, let me tell you, Williams, even if you pay, you still can't afford me." My father's face was pale, filled with despair. Emily finally woke up and angrily accused, "How can there be someone like you? You ate the Williams family's food, and now you won't help." I rushed up and slapped Emily, angrily saying, "This slap! It's me who hit my little dog." Before Emily could react, I mercilessly slapped her again. "This slap is to tell you that I only occasionally had a few meals at the Williams house and owe you nothing. Don't try to morally kidnap me." Seeing this scene, my father immediately pushed Emily as well. "What are you doing? Go apologize to your sister." Emily covered her face, feeling incredulous, and tears immediately streamed down. "Why should I apologize to her? What reason is there?" My father showed her no mercy, directly scolding her and urging her to leave quickly. In the end, Emily twisted her face and apologized to Sophia. "I'm sorry, Sophia, but I've already moved past them." At that moment, Oliver suddenly rushed over to grab me, pretending to care. "Sophia, there's still hope for our marriage. My parents have agreed too." I violently shook off his hand. "Now you think of me as your fiancé? You are so hypocritical. Stay away." The harm to the Oliver family will definitely be greater than that to the Williams family, and I completely disregard it. In the end, I left here accompanied by the security of the organizer. The next day, a message spread online. Everyone was saying that the famous Wall Street investor turned out to be someone who abandoned their family. My name suddenly trended online. Meanwhile, posts about the huge losses suffered by the Williams family also appeared online. It's hard not to suspect that the Williams family's misfortune is related to me. But seeing this, I didn't feel anything special. I was even more disappointed in this family. This matter is clearly a scheme planned by the Williams family and the Oliver family together. They want to use my fame to revive their reputation. That afternoon, before I had a chance to clarify things, all the posts disappeared. Then, I received a call from an unknown number. It was the Oliver family. "We are very sorry, Miss Sophia. You must have seen the things online today. Those posts were made by Oliver and Emily, and we have completely dealt with them to restore your reputation. Oliver will be expelled from the family, and we hope you will not pursue this any further." I didn't expect the Oliver family to do something like this, so I hung up the phone and immediately received a call from my father. The content was similar, except at the end, I wanted to ask for help for the Williams family with my last hope. "Sophia, I'm really begging you, we can't hold on much longer at home." I smiled slightly and said, "Williams, if you want me to help you, you'll need to show a bit of sincerity, right?" As soon as my father heard there was an opportunity, he immediately agreed and announced that he would cut ties with Emily that same day. I was surprised by his decision. He was actually willing to let go of over a decade of feelings. Laura asked me if I really wanted to help them, and I thought it didn't matter, just let her help a little, since everyone would have no contact in the future anyway. Laura nodded and went out to make a call. But that afternoon, she rushed to find me and said that Williams was dead, and the murderer was Emily. Emily couldn't bear to be abandoned and impulsively killed her father. On her way to find me, she was caught at the airport. I was shocked. I didn't expect so much to happen in just one afternoon. The police said Emily wanted to see me one last time, but I refused outright, because I knew she wouldn't say anything nice. As for my mother, I'm feeling a bit conflicted. Because she doesn't directly target me, she just lacks decisiveness. My mother called me before I even had a chance to speak. Her voice sounded a bit weary, but still very strong. She said, "Sophia, Mom is ready to go back to her hometown to retire. Seeing your achievements now, Mom is really proud. You need to take good care of yourself abroad." Her voice was a bit choked up. I promised her and then hung up the phone. Now everything has been resolved. I've returned to Wall Street and started a new life.